Going everyone, DJ Aceman alongside the legendary Life of Big Don here today for the Peace and Chaos program. We are back from a little bit of a few day break, but we are back today to discuss the big news of the day, and that is the new COVID variant. But first, Big Don, what's going on?
All right, so this is an emergency stream, as I call it, because I think this is worth noting because of what we've been through with COVID-19, and people are alarmed by this. Now, we're not here to fearmonger. We're not here to present to tell you to do anything that may risk yourself. We're just here to provide you with the straight facts of what could possibly happen here.
Yes, exactly. You just want to mirror that as well. We're not here to fearmonger anything because I can agree. I think that everyone has been fearmongered within the past year or now almost 2 years now by the media, especially with the coronavirus. So we're just here to deliver the facts and to discuss maybe probable or possible outcomes that may occur from this. But first and foremost, please follow us on Twitter, Peace and Chaos P1. That is Peace and Chaos P1. If you can't find us there, go to our banner and then hit the Twitter icon. You can also follow us through that way as well. And also go follow us on Instagram. We just had a fun IG post that we put out yesterday. Let me see if we can revive it. But yes, we're Peace and Chaos underscore podcast, Peace and Chaos underscore podcast. And yeah, this is the little Last Supper we had. A few of our favorites there we put in there. Go check that one out as well. We have about two things to cover tonight: the coronavirus and also our ongoing discussion of the Ahmaud Arbery case. So we're therefore going to go to that right off the bat. So the verdict came out in this case just a few days ago, and the verdict found all three men, both the McMichaels and also Roddy Bryan, guilty. Travis McMichael, the son, has also been found guilty of an additional murder charge. He was found guilty of aggravated murder as well as the other charges that the two other men faced. So Travis McMichael was the son who fired the gun at Arbery while his father was the one driving the car, and their neighbor, Mr. William Roddy Bryan, was the one that pinned Arbery in between. So as of right now, all of them are found guilty of 4 counts of felony murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, and also 1 count of false imprisonment, and also 1 count of criminal attempt to commit a felony. They all pleaded not guilty to all of these, but however, they were pleading guilty to murder. So as of right now, all 3 men have been guilty. There's also going to be a case coming up in February as well regarding if this was a hate crime. This is going to be coming out in February, and also their sentencing. As of right now, sentencing is going to be between most likely life in prison. That's what a lot of scholars are predicting from this case. As for the 2 other men, maybe 30 years, and then they get bond, but who knows with this case. It's still undecided, but yes, we did want to bring you an update. There has been a lot of joy and a lot of demonstrations after this case, and a lot of people seeing that justice has been served for Ahmaud Arbery, especially for his mother, who said that although this is the second year without their son, she says she could finally look at his table. She can also look at his seat at the table and say that she knows that he has finally received justice. So there's been a lot of demonstrations and a lot of cheers that have occurred, tears of joy for a lot of people from this case. And we just wanted to bring this up because we did want to talk about this for a little bit. But Big Don, I did a little bit of a talk on Tuesday's stream about this. But hey, I want to hear your thoughts on the verdict.
Yep, just give everyone a brief update here. Obviously, they've been found guilty, and we kind of hypothesized this. This is obviously, I think this is the right decision to be made. There wasn't really any evidence to suggest that there was a warranted citizen arrest to be made here. Obviously, when we look at the lack of evidence to support their case. So we just want to give the condolences to Ahmaud Arbery's family for what these people have done to him. And obviously, they're getting some sort of form of justice, whatever that may be. Obviously, we still got the trial in February. That's going to be pretty newsworthy, but this is a very good step in the right direction.
I would agree. And there was also a lot of politics going behind this case as well. First off, the attorney general, I believe, she was the one that I believe that she actually was indicted due to her handling of the case. And also, there were 11 white people on the jury as well. Only one African American was on the jury, and a lot of people were speculating maybe race could, hinder this case because of the way that the jury was selected. But it turns out that others were just saying that no, we believe that we are confident in this jury because they're educated, they're moral, they're people that although may look different and may be of a different race, that they're still going to deliver and that there's going to be no bias. And that turned out to be the case. And just to give you guys a little bit of a background, the county in Georgia, which is the county of Brunswick County, not the county where Ahmaud Arbery was from, was about 23% African American. So there was a significant African American population, but a lot of people were speculating how the defendants were able to kick out a lot of black jurors, and there was a lot of speculation maybe of racism and discrimination towards that, and how only there was one out of 12 jurors, only one was African American. So there was also this to discuss, and I think there's going to be further discussion about this as well regarding race and selection on a jury. But that was just a little bit of the backstory behind that little thing. But President Biden said that he knew that justice was served in this case, and also other politicians as well said that justice was served in this case. But this was a case that once the video came out back in May of 2020, everyone was going to talk about it. We saw the video, the media reacted at that time, but it took over a year now for this case to finally complete and for us to have a verdict. And there were some that said maybe if this case was not, maybe if this video was never was published or never went viral, could this case have still gone on? And people have credited and quoted the Arbery family for having this case kind of move forward quicker and for them to get justice for their late son.
Yeah, I think we're gonna leave it at that right there. Obviously, still more to come, but at the end of the day, I think this was a very monumental case in terms of the circumstances that went down. When you look at sort of how the criminal justice system has biases, but overall, I think we can both agree that this was the right verdict. So
Yes.
That's a brief update on that. As we said, we did cover it a little bit right before the verdict went down, so we just want to give a brief update so we can make sure we're not missing anything. But let's get to the main event here, the big stuff, bigly.
Yes. So in the past 24 to 48 hours, a lot has gone down with the coronavirus, especially internationally. Specifically here, the WHO has been keeping a close eye on the Southern African region, specifically in South Africa. And they have been, as of this morning, they called the B11529 SARS-CoV-19 variant of concern. And they have now called it under a Greek name Omicron. So this is the official statement I'm going to read before we have a discussion. The Technical Advisory Group on SARS-CoV-2 Virus Evolution is an independent group of experts that periodically monitors and evaluates the evolution of SARS-CoV-2 and assesses if specific mutations and combinations of mutations alter the behavior of the virus. The TAG VE was convened on the 26th of November 2021 to assist the SARS-CoV variant 2 B11529. The B11529 was first reported to WHO from South Africa on the 24th. The epidemiological situation in South Africa has been characterized by three distinct peaks in reported cases, the latest of which was predominantly the Delta variant. In recent weeks, infections have increased steeply, coinciding with the detection of B11529 variant. The first known confirmed B11529 infection was from a specimen collected on the 9th of November. This variant has a large number of mutations, some of which are concerning. Preliminary evidence suggests an increased risk of reinfection with this variant as compared to other VOCs. The number of cases of this variant appears to be increasing in almost all provinces in South Africa. Current SARS-CoV-2 diagnostics continue to detect this variant. Several labs have indicated that for one widely used PCR test, One of the three target genesis is not detected, called S gene dropout or S gene target failure, and this test can therefore be used as a marker for this variant pending sequencing confirmation. Using this approach, this variant has been detected at faster rates than previous surges in infection, suggesting that this variant may have a growth advantage. There are
And
a
that's the
number
key
of
thing right there.
yes. There are a number of studies underway, and the TAGVE will continue to evaluate this variant. WHO will communicate new findings with member states and to the public as needed, based on the evidence presented, indicative of a detrimental change in COVID-19 epidemiology. The TAG-VE has advised WHO that this variant should be designated as a VOC, and the WHO has designated B111 as VOC named Omicron. And then they suggest the countries to do the following: enhance surveillance and sequencing efforts to better understand circulating SARS-CoV-2 variants, submit complete genome sequences and associated metadata to a publicly available database such as GISAID, report initial cases, clusters associated with VOC infection to WHO through the IHR mechanism, and where capacity exists and in coordination with the international community, perform field investigations and laboratory assessments to improve understanding of the potential impacts of the VOC on COVID-19 epidemiology, severity, effectiveness of public health and social measures, diagnostic methods, immune responses, antibody neutralization, or other relevant characteristics. And it goes on to say further.
All right, so key points here.
This is the big one right here, though. Using this approach, this variant has been detected at faster rates than previous surges in infection, suggesting that this variant may have a growth advantage. That's a key detail in this report. Now, I think that, with this report, although it is early, I think that with the Delta variant as well, I think that this variant is going to could become, according to the WHO, a very omnipresent variation of the coronavirus. And it turns out right now, with all these peak infections, that a majority of the COVID cases in South Africa seem to be now of this Omicron variant. And I think that as a whole, states are going to have to start responding quickly on this matter, and also really being precautious so that we don't have any further surges due to a new variant.
Yeah, as far as we're aware, there isn't, obviously this is all going on in South Africa right now in terms of what's going on. Certain regions within South Africa have fairly low vaccination rates, so obviously that could be a huge significant plan to the factor. But like we said, this only came out like 24 hours ago. So, I mean, we only have so limited information on it. We're gonna have to wait to see what comes up about this variant. As far as we know, there's no reported cases within the United Kingdom. I'm not sure if that's the same thing for the United States, but everything should be. But all of this is fairly new in terms of what came out, so we won't really expect any sort of results from that. However, this is obviously something to keep in mind of, obviously, when you look at sort of the way this virus is mutating within South Africa, and then you look how much it's spreading compared to other variants. Obviously, we look at the Delta variant and see, how badly it. Well, if you are vaccinated, you're significantly less likely to be hospitalized or to die. Mm-hmm. Delta obviously care when there's some great cases of that. So we'll see what happens with this variant right here. Obviously, it's supposedly supposed to be more deadly, but it's going to be. I think it's going to be very interesting policy-wise to see what we do from here.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly. And I also liked how you brought up the vaccination rate, because yes, South Africa does have a fairly low vaccination rate. As of right now, it's about 23.8%, which is fairly low compared to what is in the world, which is about 42% of the global population. So this is significant as well. You have probably just a quarter of your population who now has the coronavirus vaccine. So there must be a lot of skepticism in South Africa. Again, I'm not from there, so I wouldn't know, but let us know if if there's a lot of skepticism, because it seems like there is from these statistics that are public right now.
There
But
actually is
yes,
some media skepticism going around. I think I saw some sort of Twitter thread that was saying that the media is blowing this out of proportion, which is, I mean, it's entirely possible. I mean, people have been claiming that for the past couple months now. I think to some extent it is true,
I do
but
agree. Yes, I
but
think
I think right now we're in the beginning stages of it. If we remember back in like January 2020, we all kind of hypothesized. A lot of us hypothesized. I wouldn't say all of us, but I remember we all kind of talked about. We kind of put our fears aside and said like, oh, okay, COVID. It's probably gonna be very contained. It's not really gonna affect us, but look what happened there. So obviously, there's so many what ifs here. Now that we have sort of the worst case scenario in mind.
yes. Yeah, like you said there too, there's a lot of what ifs and a lot of skepticism that goes into it. And there's also fear that goes into it as well. But I think that it also goes into the role of the media as well. I think that the role of the media really wants people to feel a certain type of emotion, whether that is happiness, sadness, excitement, fear, whatever. That's their main mission sometimes. Sometimes it's to not just inform, but to also invoke an emotion, whether that be whatever. And I think that with the coronavirus, the emotion that they have chose has been fear in a lot of ways. There was a little excitement as well when mandates were starting to get lifted, but for
Yeah,
the most part, it's been mostly fear, anger, frustration, sadness.
and we
Those
can
have
see
been the
this
kind
fear too because if
of.
you look, if the biggest indicator of that is the stock prices went down. Let's bring up the Dow Jones here.
Yes, let's go bring this all up.
Let's bring up the major stock statistics right here because things fell off. Things fell off significantly. Now, obviously, the stock market is not an indicator, like a directly correlated indicator of sort of fear, but this is what investors are sort of fearing is what's going to happen with this news.
Yeah, and today was also Black Friday as well. So it's usually a day when the stock market performs relatively well. And yeah, as you can see today, by 1 p.m., yeah, you can see here some of the stocks here. NYC ARCA oil index down 51.3 points or 4.32%.
Yeah, oil prices are dropping too, which I guess, well, I guess that's kind of a blessing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess you're paying less at the pump now. Maybe this is by design. I'm pretty sure people think that now.
NASDAQ
So,
today down 15,000 points, more or less.
Nasdaq, let's see here. S&P down a lot today as well.
Dow Jones down 34,899 points, or that is about 2.53%. Yeah, most of these, actually all of these stocks have been down today, and that's pretty much had to
Look
do
at some that
with
have been up. Like, for example, I think Netflix shot up a little bit today because people kind of retreated back into
staying inside.
buying their subscriptions, the fear of lockdown. Let's see here. Square, all these are down. Let's see.
Twitter was actually down today too.
Yeah, look at that. I did pull up a Twitter poll for this as well.
Adobe's down. Visa went down pretty significantly.
Snap went up.
What went up?
Snapchat.
Oh wow.
Let's see
Cisco
here.
went down. Chemeco Core. Whoops. Shopify went down.
Netflix was up 1.2%. So
Okay.
so that was one stock that I know.
Wells Fargo went down 5.61%. Salesforce.com 1.72%. DoorDash went up. And hey, Wendy's went up too, and Zoom went up big time today. Look at that.
Oh geez, well, if Wendy's goes up, that's a big one for us.
And yeah, Zoom went up too, which is good. I want to get my Baconator back again.
Geez, we're not going to bring up the memes of Wendy's. I think
let's not bring that up.
We hinted at subtly, but overall, I lost money today. I'm not too happy about it. I mean, it could be a good buying opportunity if if the fears aren't as warranted as they should be now. But this is alarming.
It is.
This is absolutely alarming because now, obviously, we said this a million times. As of now, we don't know enough information about this to dictate whether or not any sort of policies should be enacted. But let's hedge our bets here, and we're going to play a little bit of worst case scenario.
Mhm.
So let's say that this is in the U.S. and it's spreading a lot more rapidly as people have predicted. What policies would be enacted for that? I think you're definitely going to see mandates stricken heavily.
Okay.
I think you're going to see a lot more public mask mandates. A lot of our cities in our areas have implemented public mask mandates.
Yep.
We might. I'm not sure if there's any sort of authority of the states can enforce any sort of mask mandates. Actually, I think they could, but
I think they actually can. Yes, cities can do it right now. It's kind of on an individual city basis, but I think that if this gets worse, I'm sure that states will have mandates on businesses and also probably on. I know that they already have it on all public transportation. So whether you fly, I mean, also the aviation industry has kind of already extended this
it's
from
tanked a
July.
lot.
Yeah,
But
it's already to January, but I'm sure that they're going to expand it now into the summer of next year as well.
yeah, and another thing is, I think the biggest what if here, the biggest question, and this is going to be for people like Joe Biden, is whether or not it will warrant a lockdown.
I think that's a hot topic word and a hot button word.
Yeah, we're going controversial here. Now, my thoughts on it. That should be the absolutely worst case scenario because honestly, we can't afford to go into another lockdown here.
That
I
would
think you
not
agree with
be
that.
good anyway. That I don't think anyone would be on board. I think even the Biden administration would say, I'm sure that they would. That would be like worst case scenario if things really don't go well. I'm sure that we're gonna have maybe some fallback on maybe a phase, like we go back into the phases, or maybe we go to like phase 3 or 4. But if we go to like phase 1 or even just the pure lockdown, except for
Uh,
people who are kind of considered necessary. I think that that's just going to, one, sink the economy, two, make people feel really angry, and three, bring us back to where the pandemic was, and we're just not going to, progress in any way possible. So I think that that is, if that were the case, that has to be the last. That would have to be like we'd have to try um, every other policy or just in general
yeah,
every other thing towards the pandemic before we would go back into that, because that should be the last option. That should be the last option.
yeah. Because if you go back into lockdown, I think what we're seeing now with the economy just in like a downward spiral with inflation and all that.
Mhm.
We talked about inflation on the last show and sort of the causes with that, and we ultimately put the blame a lot on sort of the money that everyone has now from all the COVID stimulus, all the tax credits that were given out.
Mhm.
Everyone's got more money, and supply chain has been going down globally. So that's obviously going to be a very impactful thing on inflation. And now if this was worst case scenario, well, I mean, can we even give out stimulus at this point? If we were to go back into lockdown, I don't know what's going to happen to all those small businesses that they're now trying to be going back into in-person services, trying to lift mask mandates and apply with COVID policies, and now everyone's just being sent back home. Obviously, you don't want that. I think that's going to be, if that were to happen, Biden would easily, I think he would easily be not reelected.
Yes, I agree there. And yeah, I think it's both electability and also just in general public content as well. And I don't think a lot of people would be willing to, right now, if they're small business owners, to shut down hypothetically. And I don't think a lot of parents would be too content with their children learning from home after trying that for a year or maybe a year and a half.
Not many
in some
parents are content
cases.
with the learning styles now.
Yeah, that's true as well. So already get them even more disgruntled. And just in general, people who maybe were laid off and, recently found a job. I think that this is not going to be a good idea. And it would probably result in also a lot of just not good for the Biden administration,
It's
specifically.
going to lead to a
with
lot
the-
more division because
Yeah.
people, there's a whole group of people that are already fed up with this, and it's only going to increase if this were to be implemented. But like we said, this is the worst case scenario here.
Yep, this is the worst case scenario.
We obviously don't know what the exact transmission rate is. We don't know if this is going to be, if it's actually within the US right now. All that stuff is, well, hopefully it will come out soon. And I think Pfizer today released some new information about how they're sort of administering vaccines. I think it takes like about 6 weeks for them to make like a new variant for a vaccine. And I think they projected it's going to take 3 months to mass produce it and distribute it. So obviously they're ahead of the game in terms of trying to manufacture vaccines. But as we all know, Pfizer has definitely had a lot of distrust of the giant pharmaceutical company that's providing all these vaccines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is what they said just now earlier today. They said the company said that they can adapt their mRNA vaccine within 6 weeks and start shipping batches within 100 days if an escape variant is identified. Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and AstraZeneca on Friday said they also are investigating and testing the new variant. So these would most likely come out within maybe, late winter, early spring next year if all runs smoothly with research and development.
Exactly. So we'll be on the lookout for that. I think that's obviously going to be a crucial development if perfect world, if this variant was to come out, because I think we can take an educated guess and say that vaccines do. Well, in fact, slow it down will be the best terminology for it I can think of right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we have seen what the vaccine has done with the Delta variant is obviously slowed the hospitalization and death rates for that specific variant. So we shall see what the scenario is with this new variant of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff to look forward to. We will keep you guys updated on that.
Exactly. Yes, we will continue to update you on the Omicron COVID, the new Omicron variant. We're also going to be discussing more with the vaccine and also the response to the pandemic in streams to come. Alrighty. We're going to start wrapping this one up.
Yep, I think we're going to keep it a short stream tonight. So we're just going to keep everyone updated on what's going on in the world. Obviously, our main focus was the Omicron variant, but of course we talked about the Amount robbery case, which that has been resolved. And I mean, this is a story in progress. This is going to be, there's just a lot of stuff to keep in mind here that, we could talk about how this is going to affect businesses. We already seen that with the stock prices going down and shareholders having distrust. But there's just so little information about now that we can make a full judgment. But that is what's going on now.
Exactly. That is what is going on now, folks. This was all we're going to do, just a quick and short stream here tonight, just to discuss these two issues that have occurred. And yes, that is going to do it. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. Also, if you are going shopping, hope you all are doing your last minute shopping now on Black Friday. A lot of great deals out there. So go get yourself whatever you want, get early holiday gifts, whatever, go get those. But yes, just a reminder, go follow us on social media, Peace and Chaos _podcast, Peace and Chaos _podcast on Instagram and on Twitter, Peace and Chaos P1, Peace and Chaos P1. If you can't find that, go to the banner and click on there as well. And also go check us out on Spotify. There's a few episodes up there if you guys like to listen to your podcasts there as well.
That's going to do it for us tonight.
Keep us loaded. Have a good one.
Peace.
See ya.